regular F&M drafts at our friend's place. So it's, we call it something else, but there's like half and half women and guys almost, which I have never seen in a game store.
Sorry, Rada, do you call it Drunk Magic Night? Is that what you call it?
No, it's like our friend's last name is Alm, so we call it FN Alm. It's not as funny as yours.
That sounds good too.
But there's some much about but it's very classic. It's not wearing alcohol. Yeah. But with the drafts, with the cubes, we do a little bit of constructor ADH if people are into it. But yeah, I think that's actually a good way to get gaming girls, are into Magic through first doing it, in your house. Although I think that's actually true for any of your friends. You're probably gonna, first play with your guy friend, across your own kitchen table rather than bring straight into a game store, right?
Right. Yeah, then we all talk about going to the pre-release together and it being a big, exciting thing, And
yeah.
I know there's an infrastructure of competitive white men that has existed in Magic for many years. However, there are new people added to this competitive scene all the time.
Yeah.
Josh Utter-Layton has 5 Pro Tour top 8s, and he's not even eligible for the Hall of Fame until 2018 or something. It is possible to kind of just come into the game and be a great competitor, and I think that goes for men as well as women. But I think that the culture is there such that men feel very comfortable. If you're a woman and you want to compete at something and you can choose between, racquetball or Settlers of Catan or competitive cycling or Magic the Gathering, you look at Magic the Gathering and you say, well, why would I choose that? The reason should be it's because it's a really fun game and the people who play it are really fun. And I believe those things and I just want more people to see it. But there's this perception problem out there of the toxic male who is insensitive. And maybe there's just a couple bad apples that do ruin the barrel on that front. And I think that all we can do is to talk about it as much as we can, as a community and, using social media or just, talk about it with your play group or whatever, just to see if we all have the same goal. For instance, I my thing is I think the party is better when there's women, but I don't even know if that's the goal that the whole Magic community has. I don't know if more women are even wanted by a bunch of members of our community. And
well, I'm your second with making the party better. So if you haven't gotten a second on board, that is also what I want.
I feel the love. You know what I mean? That's why we're here.
I sell Magic cards. I work in a Magic card store that sells comic books, and I sell Magic cards to women. I know that women play Magic, but I don't see a lot of them at the tournaments. And not just women. I mean, our group focuses on any person. We're very non-specific. But, if we're talking about women specifically, I sell Magic cards to a lot of women that I imagine don't feel comfortable or are a little worried about the tournament environment. So I'd like them to get to come out because I think they would have fun.
Yeah, if tournaments are their thing, well, let me put it this way. I mean, I love Magic so much that I've made it a part of my everyday life, and I've turned it into my main job. And I'm not a very competitive player. Every once in a while I'll practice the hell out of a draft format and have a somewhat respectable limited rating. Let's put that respectable in quotation marks. I routinely get schooled when playing against people at the Pro Tour, just even in casual drafts. Tournaments are not where I enjoy playing Magic, but yet I love the game so much that if when like do there need to be more like competitive female players? I don't know. Like I think it would be cool to see that, but there's a lot of ways to enjoy Magic and to really show how much you love it. And I think that we should just be as welcoming to all of those ways, whether you're into cosplay or games of multiplayer EDH, or games of I don't know, if you're really into collecting the spin down life counters and you just want to have the biggest collection of that. I mean, there's so many ways to be involved in the community and be passionate, and I think it's like people get too hung up on the tournament aspect. Is like, well, women aren't top 8ing the Pro Tour. It's like, well, I mean, like those guys are very, very seasoned, and it's just going to take a while. And maybe the more inclusive we can be in all these other settings, maybe, I think you're going to see in the next few years the next Melissa DeTora, the next Jackie Lee, the next Mary Jacobson, people who are very competitive. If we can,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were going to say something, Rada. Sorry, I rambled on for a long time there.
No, I think you make great points. I think it's like a two-sided issue. I think, on the one hand, a better goal than to like, I think it's more important to strive for having more tournament girls in tournament setting or girls playing competitive Magic. I think it's more important to make sure that if they don't, it's just because they don't feel like it, not because it's not in an unfriendly environment. I think it's because they want to do all these other awesome things you can do with Magic instead. So yeah, I think I agree with you completely. I think it's about the goal setting. But on the other hand, I think seeing people who look like you, who you can identify with succeed in general, is also a very big motivation. I think it's proven to be like that historically. I think having someone to look up to who came from the same walk of life as you did has been very good and healthy for people.
Sorry, can you say that again? What's been healthy for people?
I think it's seeing people who look like you succeed. So I think that's why it's a big deal that Melissa top 8 the Pro Tour. That Jackie has had her, top 8 after top 8 Grand Prix rampages, because, like I said, when someone is looking at the games and you're like, well, what game should I get into? It might be subconscious, but when you don't see anybody who looks like you playing in the top level or being respected or being looked up to, that's difficult. That can make someone uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rada, you're a competitive player. Would you say so?
Yes, I would say so.
What do you think of? I mean, let me ask you something. I know Melissa DeTora really well. I've been in coverage for a while, and she has said that there are women who have just, when she top 8'd Pro Tour Gatecrash, that women kind of came out of the woodwork and told her what an inspiration she was to them. How kind of having a female, top 8 of Pro Tour, it just lets you see somebody whose footsteps you feel as though you could follow in. Would you say that's the case for you? Do you have female players that you look up to? Or were you really just the only girl for almost the whole time that you played Magic, and, or just trailblazing and, just kind of on your own like that?
Yeah, my experience is a little bit different, I think, just because I fell in love with the game very quickly, and it kind of didn't matter to me, whether, I didn't really have, I started playing Magic way before, Melissa or Jackie were extremely successful. But yeah, fortunately I was absolutely in love with the game very quickly. So I would say for me that didn't work this way, but I know that does work that way for a lot of girls and women, especially girls. Like, actually, Melissa DeTora has a little fan who, I think there's like, she's like a 10-year-old girl who I think wrote a school essay or like answered a school question about her role model, saying that it's Melissa. She wants to play Magic and be as good at it as Melissa is, which I think is amazing and something that wouldn't happen, 10 years ago because there wasn't someone like to look up to.
So obviously you're playing Magic way before Melissa is a figure publicly, or Jackie or Lisa Jensen. But what about just what about gamers in your life that were women? I mean, did you play Scrabble with your mom? Did you? That's my example. My mom was like a vicious Scrabble player in our family. So in terms of like having a female gamer just in your life, or was it really just no matter what game you were playing, you were pretty much the only girl the whole time?
Well, I didn't actually I got into gaming all at the same time, like Magic and other gaming, when I came to the U.S. when I was 14, and my best friend in high school was an avid gamer, and he got me into all sorts of games. So I would say I was lucky because my family really supported all sorts of intellectual pursuits and just following whatever you want to do if you're interested in. I was really interested in drawing when I was a kid, so they made me. They pushed me to look into it and to draw more. Whenever I had any interest in anything, my parents tried to get me into clubs for that and things like that. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that the interest in gaming came from my family or from other female figures. But I think that's very important in general to support your kids or people around you in their interests, be it gaming or anything else.
Yeah. Well, what's happening in this game here?
Well, I'm playing the wrong invitational card, Rada. If I had just cast an Avalanche Riders instead here, I could have taken out one of these lands and attacked for 2 quickly. But I'm foolishly playing Bob. I think it's Mayer. Is that how you say it? Mar?
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his name. Maher.
Yeah. Well, in any case, you should have played Darwin Castle, not Bob Maher.
I might lightning bolt my own Bob here. I'm going to attack for 2, but I don't have a brainstorm or anything, so it's possibly right that I have to lightning bolt my own Bob. That's fine. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. First I top decked a Jace, the turn after I cast the Bob, to fall to 7, and then just now I top decked a Force of Will. So if I'm going to want to have a chance of casting that Force of Will, I probably have to kill my own Bob. But yeah, that's what's happening here. I might switch to limited in a second.
Bob giveth and Bob taketh away.
That's true.
That is
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys have you played much Eternal? You're talking about how you played limited a bunch.
Yeah. Alright, so I really don't play much Constructed. I have played a few games of Vintage and a few games of Legacy, but I'm certainly no expert. Certainly don't own the staples. But Tesserator. However, I'm addicted to coverage. I also work in coverage, so I'm at the very least fairly knowledgeable of the Legacy metagame. I enjoy watching it as a spectator sport. Vintage, you obviously don't get to see as much. I did work Vintage Champs this past year in Philly, hosted by Top Deck Games, Nick Koss, big shout out. He's my dude. He's getting Vintage in Eternal Weekend this year too, so if you want to play some Vintage in a for real tournament with prizes, come to Philly in the fall. But
actually, it's maybe not a bad time to do some shout-outs too. Our stream is going to eventually, hopefully, be sponsored by Wizard's Den or Wizard Den. I think it might just be Wizard Den. So we're hashing that out. So thank you to them, and they're cool. And then if anyone else has important shout-outs, we're sort of at the halfway point of our stream time now, I think. So I don't know, Rada or Nathan, if you have other things. In case anyone didn't know, Walk the Plains is available for viewing on magicthegathering.com, and also. You probably can just Google it, and you guys probably have your own website, I bet.
Yeah. There's a playlist on Magic the Gathering's YouTube channel of Walking the Plains. Check it out. It's the show that I host. It is a mix of coverage documentary and sketch comedy. We cover organized